everybody, and welcome to Bad Movie Brothers. I'm Eric.
I'm Chad.
And this time we watched Meet the Hollowheads.
How dare you?
I don't know.
How dare you? This, we can stop the show right now. This is the worst thing. We found it. We did it. This is it. This is the bad movie.
Listen. It's pretty bad.
It's worse than pretty bad. It's the worst movie we've seen for sure.
I don't know that I would agree with that.
Oh,
but
come on.
So the audience knows what we're talking about because the plot in this movie is very thin. So we're going to be jumping around. The Meet the Hollowheads, it's basically a sitcom. It's a half-hour sitcom plot of the boss is coming to dinner, stretched out to an hour and a half, but then portrayed in the most demented way where it's I don't know if it's the future or what's going on, where this family lives in some sort of grimy, tube-riddled dystopia where everything is ugly and terrible. And we're subjected to this kind of day in the life of this family in this awful world as the boss is coming to dinner. And I think it's supposed to be funny.
You can't make this movie now. I truly don't understand it. Didn't understand it. Hated every second of it. I don't know why you did this to us.
I did this because I found this movie. I'm looking for movies. I found this movie. I started it.
Wait a second. Is this a movie or is this just somebody put something on YouTube?
That's a great question. I mean, it has stars in it.
Yeah.
There are movie stars. The dad is played by John Glover.
Yep.
Who I know best from Gremlins 2. Owns the building in Gremlins 2, and he was Lex Luthor's dad on Smallville.
Honey, we're home.
Okay, that's beyond me.
And he's a guy who's been in a million things. And then the daughter is Juliette Lewis.
Yes, Oliver Digits. Well, of course he's a pathetic pipe seat, but he's perfect. He's about the only two-wood my parents would let me go with.
Because you've got a dad, you got a mom, you got a daughter, you got a son, and you got the boss, and then a couple of periphery.
Two sons.
Oh, that's right. There's a little boy and a teenager, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, was this ever in theaters? I don't know. Was this made direct for video? Maybe. It sort of feels like it, but the question I kept asking myself as I was watching it, which again, once I found it and started watching it, I said, I think we have to watch this movie because it's insane, was who is this for?
So, all Seinfeld, who are the ad wizards?
Yes.
That came up with this one. What's going on? What are the tubes? Nothing's explained. The phones, the makeup thing, the food stuff, how food is made. They're literally eating what comes in the bottom of an aquarium.
Well, and we spend a lot of time, and I mean a lot of time in this movie, just in their kitchen. And food prep at one point consists of opening up a hole and then a tentacle comes out.
Oh, is that what that is?
Listen. Careful. Easy does it. But let us say that a tentacle comes out and you chop off a piece of this tentacle and then I guess eat it. And it's moving around.
This is a gross movie, man.
It's super gross.
15 minutes shooting bugs at a wall at one point. And they go everywhere.
Because that's this kid's version of a board game is you shoot a bug out of a slingshot into a fan.
While the worst looking dog I've ever seen watches it.
I can't believe I mean, we're in trouble that we're only this far into the episode and we're already talking about that dog. That was the most.
Spike.
Spike was the worst, most awful dog or creature I have ever seen in my life. And he exists in the movie because they need bugs.
Yeah, they got the bugs off of him.
Yeah, they call him into the house so they can delouse him and then throw the bugs at the wall.
For 15 minutes.
Right. And you need to understand that there's not this kid's killing bugs because he's, a future serial killer. He's some terrible kid. In the movie, this is portrayed, this is a game that any kid would love to have in this world.
Smooth move. You got a new splat spray game. Come on, help me.
I mean, I get it's a satire. I think it's supposed to be a satire of it's like a satire of like commercialism and capitalism. I'm not saying it's for me. I'm just saying that's what it is.
Hey, let me tell you this.
Yeah, please.
As we've discussed several times on the show, I watch these at speed and a half. And even at that speed, this movie was so slow.
It's pretty slow. It's pretty slow.
I can't believe anybody had watched this at regular speed because I heard every word crisply in speed and a half.
There's a lot of dead space in this thing. And that's maybe my biggest note for the movie is I think there's a disturbing but solid half hour somewhere in here. 20-minute, a 20-minute TV show, but an hour and a half is tough going. Tough going.
So they clearly had zero to no money.
I don't know because all of these sets are constructed sets, right? I mean, this isn't something where they could go shoot in somebody's apartment or something. They had to build all of this.
But what happens when they go outside?
Oh, I mean, outside, and there are more than one set that is just, there must just be a black curtain in the background.
Right.
I mean, there's nothing.
There's nothing when they're outside.
But my point is that some money was spent on this thing. I mean, because those creatures, that dog, Spike, who again is awful.
Awful.
Cost money to make.
You know what so the sets,
Mm-hmm.
We could have seen these sets on either Pee-wee's Playhouse or Beekman's World. That's what it reminded me of.
Absolutely. The look of it, like a less dark version of, because this movie is dark and disturbing. It's dark and disturbing and gross. I'm a big fan of David Cronenberg. I like 80s Cronenberg, Videodrome, The Fly, that kind of thing a lot. And I could watch those movies all day. And there's some gross stuff in those movies. This movie, much skeevier.
Takes the cake.
But yeah, the whole look of it felt like early Nickelodeon.
Yes.
Like, you can't do that on television era. If I saw a half-hour version of this and somebody just told me it's from Canada, I'd be like, I believe that.
No, this is too nasty, gross for Canada. This is not.
I suppose
Canada.
that's fair.
This is like if somebody said, "Hey, they made this in Florida for Floridians," I'd be like,
Mm-hmm.
"Yeah."
It was interesting to watch from two perspectives. I recently finished watching WandaVision.
Yes.
Which is very much a takeoff on sitcoms. Yeah, agreed. 2 thumbs. And we've been watching Dinosaurs.
Oh no.
Yeah. And the thing you forget about Dinosaurs is that about every other episode is being a satire, and a pretty smart one about some issue.
Sure.
It's smart and arch, especially for a thing that I think was on TGIF for a while.
Right.
Like they're saying things on that show that you can't imagine that the ABC censors realized what was going on. And so watching those shows where they're able to appropriate the trappings of the sitcom and then subvert them so successfully, and then to watch this.
This movie about a creepy boss. I guess that's what it's about, right?
I mean, that's, again, satire of corporate America.
Yeah.
Because the boss does eventually show up in this thing, and he is every awful thing about a boss. Like, he has this whole speech at one point about nepotism. He spends a large portion of the movie leering at Mrs. Hollowhead.
I would do just about anything to have a woman like you, Miriam.
Oh, really? Mr. Crabneck. Marty.
Right.
And yeah, he beats the son at one point.
What'd you get on your shirt? Deception, son. You gotta trick the suckers. Look. Up here. See how easy that was? Now I'll show you another.
Both of them, right? Or no?
No, because
the other one.
The oldest son is blissfully just gone from the movie for most of the movie.
Yeah, then he was either on drugs or got drunk.
Right. He takes his chicken accordion.
Right.
So he can go play with his band, and then later on in the movie comes home.
So that raises a good question. In your mind, is the chicken a part of the act, or is he being used? Because at the beginning, he's just being used, but at the end, he's fully into like being a part of the act. Like, I was confused by that.
And you've seen it on the screen by this point. It's just like it's like an accordion that's made out of a rubber chicken, but the chicken is alive. It's a very Flintstones or dinosaurs type of device, I suppose. And yeah, I guess I would say it's the Flintstones thing where it is the device, but then definitely after oldest son comes home drunk or stoned or whatever, the younger boys just carry the instrument around, and the chicken just like, hey.
Yeah, what's up? So I didn't get it.
Well, I'm not sure here's the thing. I am sure there is something to get. This feels like a movie where either the screenwriter or the director, and they may have been the same person, I wasn't paying attention, where they're like, where everything means something, man.
Hey, what did they feed the grandpa?
Oh boy. So this, at the very bottom of the barrel is the feeding the grandpa scene, where Juliette Lewis and the younger son fight about who has to go feed grandpa. And when we go to feed grandpa, it is in a black basement of tubes and despair. Grandpa is just in a chair until Juliette Lewis shoves an oversized syringe down his throat.
Yes.
Yeah, and listen, I understand that we need to treat our elders better in this society. I'm on board, man. This was bleak.
Yeah, the syringe is full of Nickelodeon slime.
Or gack, perhaps.
Gack. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
The aggro crag. Gack.
Man, Nickelodeon sure had several different flavors of slime, didn't they?
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the grandpa scene. Oh, anywhere you turn in this movie is just bad.
So you didn't mention one. There was one other semi-famous person. Well, let's get to the cameos.
Okay, let's do it. So the first one, I know which one you're going to say. So let me bring up first the lady from Goonies.
I was bringing that up right now.
Oh, okay. Well, then please do.
Yeah, she shows up as like the, I don't know, person that runs the tubes.
She's like Queen of the Tubes, I guess.
But she speaks so ineloquently, they have to use what do you call it?
Subtitles.
Subtitles as she speaks. It's craziness. I couldn't even keep up with the subtitles while she was speaking. It was so crazy.
You see, Pipes ain't planning on stealing anything, are you? Because if you do, you know what'll happen.
Yes, Station Master Bablack. We won't touch a thing, Station Master Bablack.
Slam your hatchet, Sumdrop. Let's tie your sons together and pump you home.
That was sort of fun because I mean that's her whole shtick is that she talks in that voice,
Right.
whether it's in Goonies or Throw Mama from the Train.
Yep.
And I appreciate that they had her just crank it all the way up. In this, I almost think it would have been funnier if they didn't have the subtitles and you were just
Right.
left to puzzle. But then, given the rest of this movie, I'd be complaining about it. I'd be like, do they think we can understand what she's saying? I don't know. But yeah, she was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, and I didn't really understand that whole scene, to be honest.
No, there's a long everything in this movie is long.
Yes.
But there's a long digression where the son and the son's friend have to go get, I don't know, food, cooking supplies from elsewhere in the tube labyrinth.
This is the young son.
The young son. And they run afoul of these weirdos in wire brush outfits that I guess clean the tubes, and then they run afoul of Goonies tube lady.
But how do they clean the smaller tubes?
I think you've just found the one plot hole in this movie. Congratulations.
Thank you.
In this tightly plotted.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Would you
Why
care
don't
to
you
talk?
tell us about the second cameo?
The second cameo / best cameo of the movie. You're watching this movie. You're an hour 15 or so in. In fact, I wrote down, you're an hour 12 into this movie. You're waiting for it to end. It has, by all intents and purposes, been over for a solid 10 minutes. Because by this point, they have essentially killed the boss. They got fed up with the boss. Fight ensued where the boss tried to kill them, and they ended up he ends up being alive. So they mutilated the boss, right?
Yes. Yes.
The police show up with Juliette Lewis, who is also, while she's been out, gotten drunk or stoned or whatever. And one of the cops is Mr. Bobcat Goldthwait.
Are we talking about one Oliver Digits, 17, brown hair, brown eyes, useless presence?
That's right.
Near overdose. He's all hopped up on the butt polish.
It's not full on Bobcat.
No, in fact, we were just talking about they had Goonies lady turn it up to 11.
Yes.
They had Bobcat turn it off.
Yeah, he's not, off.
He's not Bobcatting at all, which is sort of amusing.
Right, it's crazy.
And like definitely, this has to have been a thing where Bobcat was friends with somebody who was making the movie. Like it has to be that.
Are you sure?
I think so, because you can see a world where Bobcat Goldthwait was friends with one of these guys. He's like, that sounds like I can't do it at all. That sounds like a great idea. I'll show up for that.
This is where he learned how to be a director. This is it.
Sure. Hey, and Bobcat Goldthwait, very good director.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's where he asked all his questions.
So what kind of exposure you got going on with these tubes?
Yeah, the tubes. Tell me more about the tubes.
Man, I'll tell you what, if you want to watch a movie where they tell you a lot about tubes, this is the movie for you.
How dare you do this to us?
Also in this movie, playing the youngest son's friend is that kid from Teen Witch.
Who cares?
He was probably my third favorite thing in this movie. Because he's just being a super weirdo kid with a bunch of googly eyes glued to his jacket.
Now you've set us up. We have to go through your list.
Okay, well, I mean, so number 3, I will say that John Glover is very well cast.
Yes.
He plays the clueless dad figure very, very well in this.
Yes. Yep.
We're all together, and we're a family, so let's all feed Grandpa together, huh?
Then Bobcat, fun to see. Well, or the kid, friend kid, then Bobcat, and then Juliette Lewis. I believe this was only her second project. I think that the only part of the movie I straight up enjoyed was the 80s fashion montage that Juliette Lewis has that featured a song that straight up slapped. Was a good song.
Now we're talking about my 2 favorite things in this movie. That
right.
song that you talk about.
Yeah, which was a good song.
The opening theme song was dope.
Because for some reason this movie opens with an Addams Family style rap.
Henry Hollowhead is a daddy dude, working all shifts just to pump home the food. United Umbilical is where he works. The best meter reader this part of Earth.
It was like the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie when it's like, go ninja, go, go.
First off, I'm deeply ashamed of you.
Well, that's the second movie. I know. I know. Trust me, I get it.
All right. Okay.
But that style of thing.
Yeah, and very much like a story rap where they're telling us all about the Hollowheads, as if the Hollowheads are characters we've loved for years.
Why were they named the Hollowheads?
Come on.
Yeah, I know.
Come on.
Okay.
This is
That can be
101.
something.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's sort of the problem, is that the satire of this movie is not very evolved.
Right.
Like it's pretty basic.
This is just a gross movie, man.
It is. This is I had this thought while I was watching it. I had sort of twin thoughts. One, the big one is, of all of the movies we've ever watched for this show, this is the world I would least want to live in. I'll let you ponder that.
Cherry 2000.
Well, we didn't do that for the show. That was in the old days of just us doing this over the phone.
Okay.
There's one that's close that leads to my second thought.
Okay.
But otherwise, most of the movies we do on this show just take place in a regular world.
Right.
You know, or like some semi-seedy corner, but like we did, like Thunderground in its world of bum fights, I would probably rather live in that world than Tube World.
Yep. Sure.
I'd rather live in the world of Grunt, the wrestling movie.
Absolutely. That was awesome.
But the one that comes closest to this is Blade Runner. Wait, not Blade Runner. Rollerblade. Rollerblade.
No. Oh no.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
The roller skating dystopia movie. And part of me feels like this is the prequel to Rollerblade. This is the fall of civilization.
The creepy bad guy in Rollerblade looked a lot like that dog.
I was thinking the creepy bad guy in Rollerblade is what becomes of the boss.
Sure. After all the green syringes.
but I would rather live in the world of Rollerblade because they get outside.
Yeah, and it's like not just dark.
Right. And they have nuns with magic switchblades.
And roller skates.
Yeah. Don't forget the roller skates.
Because they didn't have roller blades.
No, they had roller and then blades.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Well, Pete, listen.
Somebody else doesn't know.
Do I think that somebody watching this right now is going to go, I gotta go find that Rollerblades episode of Bad Movie Brothers?
Watch your mouth, man. We're getting the directors of these movies watching us.
That's right. Hey, I would not be shocked. I would not be shocked to get a very nasty letter with the director of Meet the Hollowheads.
We're gonna no, man. We're gonna get Juliette Lewis is watching this right now.
Oh man, hey, please.
At me, bro.
Please, Juliette Lewis, if you are watching, you are an American treasure.
Yes.
I say this might seem like I'm being ironic. I am not at all. I think you're wonderful. I thought you were great as Pizzazz in the recent Gem movie. And I hope that you get to do the sequel where you get to do the green hair and everything. And you were great in Whip It.
Hey, that song, that's a good song when she's changing.
Yeah.
She sings that in the movie.
Juliette Lewis sings that?
Well, remember in the beginning when the older son's like practicing with the thing, he goes, you know the song, sing it. And then she sings that song.
Oh, does she? I didn't put two and two together because I had slipped into a coma. I think Juliette Lewis has sung some.
Maybe that's her.
Yeah. Cape Fear?
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But we in the history of the show, we had the director of Primo Baby write us and be like, hey, thanks for watching my movie.
Yeah.
And we've had not the director of The Wizard of Speed and Time, but an associate of the director of The Wizard of Speed and Time write to us and I insinuate that we're jerks. So it could kind of.
Well, hey, I respect the work they put in that movie. That's a lot of work.
I respect the work, and I want to say this. This is one of the things I wanted to say. I respect the work that they put into this. I do want to say this. Is this movie for me? Not really. But I was fascinated enough by it that I wanted to watch it all the way to the end. I thought we would have something to talk about. And I think that it is a unique and bizarre vision that I'm glad is out there.
Hey, you're right. There's people that are working hard.
Mm-hmm.
Glover's working hard.
Mm-hmm.
Juliette Lewis is working hard.
I think everybody's working hard.
Hey, man, the set designer did a good job.
Hey, yeah. I'm just saying, all I'm saying is that this movie is so specific, right? Like, this is one of those movies that you know that there are, I don't know what number, but there's some amount of people out there that they love this. This movie is for them. I'm sorry it isn't for me. But, and this is why I would object to saying it's the worst movie we've ever watched.
Oh, it is.
Because there's a lot of passion in this. And we've seen movies where nobody cared. Like this, like I want to compare this movie briefly to the Fabio movie.
Oh, gosh.
Which is a movie where no one cared about anything. They just wanted to get a Fabio VHS tape out there.
Sure. Okay.
This is a movie where everybody was super dedicated to I'll tell you what, this movie lets its freak flag fly. And for that, I salute it.
Hey, man, I took the least amount of notes on this movie of everything we've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, we've covered what I want to talk about.
I want to talk about two things real quick that I think are worth noting. One, this movie does have, I will say this, maybe the worst opening credits I've ever seen in my life because it's a bunch of, it's just murky pictures of tubes.
Oh.
And on that note.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Folks, we'll be back next time with another episode. Bad Movie Brothers.
Goodbye.